Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
There's not a cloud in the sky here in Tampa. Temperatures are in the 70s. Just a glorious Saturday afternoon. The story of the day, though, not so much the game, but we are going to see for the first time Masahiro Tanaka. When he came into the ballpark today, the cameras are clicking. Everybody following every step of the way, documenting this first start for the New York Yankees, albeit a spring training start. Yeah, we are ready for baseball. New York Yankees baseball is presented by Verizon Fios. It's the New York Yankees against the Philadelphia Phillies here at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball. Along with Ken Singleton, I'm Michael Kay. The storyline for today's game is about pitching. We're going to see the number 1, 2, and 3 starters for the Yankees today, but number 3 is really number 1.
Masahiro Tanaka will get his first start in Yankee uniform this afternoon as he's going to face these Philadelphia Phillies. He should be number 3 in the rotation for this afternoon's ball game. You're going to look at his signature pitch. It is a split-finger fastball said to be the best on the planet. He also throws a fastball, curve, slider, and a change, but this is his put-away pitch that helped them form a 24-0 record last year in Japan. Then the Yankees went out and signed him to big-time money.
$175 million expenditure to get him here, including the posting fees. 25 years old, 7 seasons in Japan, played in the Beijing Olympics in 08, World Baseball Classic, and the 2013 Japanese Series champion as well. He can do it. Let's check out today's Verizon Fios pitching setup. Yeah, it's all 3 guys that we talked about. CC Sabathia, that's what he did last year. We'll see him first, then Hiroki Kuroda, and then Tanaka. Each is expected to throw 2 innings or about 35 pitches. Well, Joe Girardi is pumped. He's got his troops ready. Yankees in their 4th spring training game. CC Sabathia will start it off. He's getting ready. We hope you are as well. Lineups, first pitch, baseball, next on Yes. Starter. Back here at George M. Steinbrenner Field, CC Sabathia dealing to Ben Revere, who pops it up to center field. Right there is Mason Williams, and on the second pitch of the game, Ben Revere flies out to center field. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup against CC Sabathia, and it is presented by Hyundai. We've already seen Ben Revere. After him, it's Jimmy Rollins. Then Dominic Brown is in left field, batting third. Marlon Byrd, the DH, cleans up. Bobby Abreu is in right field, about 5th. Darren Ruff, Cody Ash, Cameron Rupp, and Cesar Hernandez against the Yankee pitching. The pitch to Rollins is a strike. Both teams 1-2 in the early going in the spring. Yankees won yesterday against the Tigers in Lakeland. The 0-1. 1-1.
These are the numbers from CC Sabathia a year ago. Probably his worst year in the major leagues, despite the fact he had a winning record, 14-13. The ERA up there at 4.78.
Grounded sharply and through the right side for a base hit for Rollins. Ichiro will get the ball in, and Rollins leads off from first with a 1-out single.
Here's the scouting report on the Yankee starter, CC Sabathia. He's on the rebound. We mentioned the year and off year for CC. He's used to much better numbers than he put up last year. The 122 runs allowed, that was the most in the major leagues. And 2,389 career strikeouts. He is the active strikeout leader in the major leagues.
Here's Dominic Brown. Rollins leads off first, held there by Corbin Joseph. And the pitch a little bit low, 1-0. What a great day here in Tampa. Looks like a sellout crowd. As we mentioned at the start, there's not a cloud in the sky. And the last couple of days has been kind of chilly, but not today. Just beautiful weather for baseball. And there's a strike. Let's look at the official game time weather conditions brought to you by Toyota. It's 71 degrees in Tampa. I told you it's sunny. And in the Bronx, 33 degrees, mostly cloudy. The 1-1. Big breaking ball misses inside.
Dominic Brown at the plate now. Last year the Phillies were expecting big things from him, and he did have somewhat of a breakout season. 27 home runs, 83 runs batted in. His second half of the season was not as strong. He had concussion issues and also an Achilles tendon injury that slowed him down. But here's a guy who in the month of May, there might not have been a hotter hitter in the major leagues. Had 12 home runs in the month of May and 20 by the All-Star break.
Count 3-1. Sabathia works from the stretch. Now 3-2. You can see Sabathia is considerably slimmer than he's seen in recent years. He lost a lot of weight last year and now even more this year, but he's really more in tune with the balance of his body, and he's bulked up just a little bit, so some of it is muscle, and he looks like a different guy out on the mound. 3-2. Swung on and missed. Dominic Brown strikes out. Let's check out the defense behind CC. In the outfield, it's Gardner, Williams, and Ichiro left to right. Infield, Kelly Johnson's at third. The captain, Derek Jeter, at short. Brian Roberts will play a second, and Corbin Joseph is at first. Cervelli gets to start behind the plate, and Karsten Charles Sabathia is on the mound.
Yeah, what you just saw against Dominic Brown, CC last year, Michael, you get 2 strikes on hitters and couldn't quite put them away. That's what the Yankees are looking for. The old CC Sabathia, 2 strikes and you're done.
There's Marlon Byrd. He takes a strike. Byrd split the season last year between the Mets and the Phillies, and the Mets and the Pirates, and then signed with the Phillies as a free agent. But what a year he had. You saw the numbers up there. Did a good job.
Yeah, he came over to Pittsburgh and helped get them to the playoffs.
Count 1-1.
And Byrd actually started his career with the Philadelphia Phillies, and now he's back. He was a 10th round pick back in 1999, and he's been a career .280 hitter.
Ryan Sandberg, the new manager of the Phillies, took over last year for Charlie Manuel. There's a ground ball to second. Roberts to Joseph, and that'll do it. Nice inning for CC Sabathia. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left. Phillies nothing, and the New York Yankees coming to bat. All right, back here at Steinbrenner Field, it's time for the Yankees to take their hacks. The Yankees starting lineup presented by Lexus. You've got Brett Gardner leading off. He'll play left field. The captain, the shortstop, Derek Jeter, bats second. Batting third and DHing, Brian McCann. Brian Roberts, the second baseman, will clean up. Batting fifth, the catcher, Francisco Cervelli. Kelly Johnson at third base will bat sixth. Batting seventh, playing right field, Ichiro Suzuki. Corbin Joseph at first base, he'll bat eighth, and batting ninth, and playing center field, the prospect, Mason Williams.
David Buchanan gets the start for the Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon. And last year in the minor leagues, 10-13, 4.40. You can see more than a hit per inning. And 17 home runs allowed for the 24-year-old right-hander. Here is the scouting report. Not much to go on. 7th round pick for the Phillies. Slider is his best pitch. And Michael, you appreciate this. He pitched for the Iron Pigs last year. Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. That's the Phillies AAA team. And this year, they're coming out with new hats. A bacon strip.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's very appetizing.
You don't know whether to eat it or wear it. Brett Gardner leads off, and he'll take a pitch high, 1-0. Yanks lost the first 2 games of the spring against the Pirates, and then yesterday beat the Tigers in Lakeland. The Phillies train in Clearwater, so they came over for this contest.
This is a short trip across the causeway. Buchanan has been compared to Kyle Kendrick, who's a member of the Philly rotation. Same body type, long, lanky right-hander.
The 3-1. Line drive caught by Rollins. 1 away. Why don't we check out the Phillies defense? Now we know that Rollins is playing shortstop. He just made that play to rob Gardner of a hit. You've got Cody Ash. He's at third. Cesar Hernandez is at second and Darren Ruff at first. In the outfield, Dominic Brown, Ben Revere, and former Yankee and former Philly Bobby Abreu is in right. Cameron Rupp behind the plate, and Kenny told you all about Buchanan on the mound. Here's the captain, Derek Jeter. Derek played his first game on Thursday, went 0 for 2, no problems whatsoever. Didn't feel any after effects, so the Yankees are convinced that he's healthy. And Derek feels a lot better than he did last year. Fouled away. And what they were really watching on Thursday, Kenny, was how he ran, and he ran very well.
Yes, he did. Particularly down the first base line. Moved well in the field, although he didn't have anything hit to him in his opening game. Did not play yesterday. The Yankees made a trip over to Lakeland and beat the Tigers.
And Joe Girardi said he's going to let Derek Jeter call his own shots. He said, first week we're going to play him every other day. And then he was ready to play back-to-back games. He could tell me, and then we'll get him in. Swing and a foul tip into the glove of Rupp. 2 away. And Jeter says, I need as many at-bats as I can. He said, you don't realize that you need spring training until you don't play.
Well, only 17 games a year ago. And you can see a little cutter, a little slider, and that's the strikeout pitch. Jeter got a piece of it, but not enough as Buchanan strikes him out. We told you that's his best pitch.
That's going to bring up Brian McCann, one of the new Yankees, signed as a free agent. Hit a home run yesterday at Joker Marchand Stadium in Lakeland. And the Yankees hope that's one of many to come this year. So he had 20 home runs last year. Injury plagued at the beginning. But when you talk to scouts, they say his swing is kind of built for the short porch in the Bronx.
I talked to Meredith Marakovitz, who went over to see that game in Lakeland yesterday. Very dedicated Yankee reporter, and she said it was a bomb. It wasn't a cheap home run. Hit it off Max Scherzer, so he hit it off the Cy Young Award winner.
And it was a little bit of a glimpse of the present and maybe the future, because Gary Sanchez, the Yankees' top catching prospect, hit his first home run in a Yankee uniform. Again, an exhibition home run, but his first one. That one is driven out to left field and deep. Brown goes back, still back, and it's in the gap and up against the wall as McCann goes the other way to pick up a 2-out double. Now that went to left center field, but his strength is going to be pulling the ball at Yankee Stadium, and McCann talked to us about that.
If you're a pull hitter from the left side, I mean, it's going to play to your strengths. I mean, the right center to right field is a hitter's dream. So you know, but you also have to, you can't get too pull conscious and try to pull everything. But yeah, I mean, it sets up better than Turner Field for me for sure.
Well, there you have it. The direction of his home runs in his career: 114 have been pulled, 59 to center, and 3 the other way. Brian Roberts swings and misses.
Well, the one he just hit here to the gap in left center field, you have to remember the dimensions here at Steinbrenner Field are exactly the same as you have at Yankee Stadium. So left center plays deep. In some ballparks, you see that hit at Camden Yards? That's a home run. Camden Yards, of course, in Baltimore.
So McCann caught yesterday against the Tigers, and today he's the DH. Talking with Jimmy Rollins, they played a lot in the National League East against each other. The 0-2. Strike 3. Roberts down looking. He thought that pitch was high. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We played 1 at Steinbrenner Field. Nothing on Yes. Today's game on Yes is brought to you in part by Cadillac. Visit your Tri-State Cadillac dealer at CadillacTristate.com to learn more about our attractive offers. Crowd here at Steinbrenner Field gives a warm hand to Bobby Abreu, who's trying to catch on with the Phillies. Phillies have an older team, and Bobby looking for one more chance to stick in the major leagues.
A spring training invitee.
Last year with the Angels, or in 2012 with the Angels and the Dodgers. And there's a strike to Abreu.
Of course, Yankee fans remember Bobby with the Yankees from 2006 to 2008. Put up some decent numbers with the Yankees. And you can see renewing acquaintances with former teammate Derek Jeter. One thing Abreu's always been known to have is a very good batting eye, takes a lot of pitches. And he was signed by the Phillies, at least invited to spring training, on the strength of a very good winter ball session in Venezuela this past winter.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how he does when he didn't play at all last year. You know, the stats we showed you, as we said, from 2012. With the Yankees, 06, 07, 08, he put up good numbers.
Back-to-back years of 100 runs batted in.
Grounded up the middle, a base hit for Abreu. Now the Yankees need CC Sabathia to be CC Sabathia. Last year, as Kenny mentioned, probably his worst statistical year, 14-13, but lifetime a 205 and 115 record with a 3.60 ERA. And here's an interesting stat. In his first 13 major league seasons, he's had 11 or more wins in every single one. Now you might say, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is since 1900, which they call the modern era, only 3 pitchers have done that. Don Sutton did it 17 years in a row. Eddie Plank did it 16 years in a row, and Tom Seaver 13 years in a row.
Yeah, all 3 of those pitchers are in the Hall of Fame.
Line drive right at Jeter. 1 away. Now CC's first year with the Yankees, they won a World Series in 2009. The next year he won 21 games and 19 again, 15-6 in 12. And last year the drop off to 14-13 with a 4.78 ERA. And he was an all-star in 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah, one of those key columns there. Look at the last column, innings pitched. Each one of those years he threw at least 200 innings. So that's somewhat of a workhorse, somebody you can depend on to take the ball.
Here's Cody Ashe. Now the big question with CC, is he ever going to throw as hard as he once did? Now, just because of Father Time, he's probably not going to. But he was very close with Andy Pettitte, and we'll miss Andy a lot. I mean, Andy was kind of a mentor toward him. And CC said he got people out at 88, 89. He said, I'm not sure how hard I'll throw. He thinks he will get some velocity back. He said, but you don't have to pitch at 97 to get people out. It's all about location. He's such a key for this Yankee team. Chop towards second. Roberts will go to Jeter for 1. That's all they get as Ashe reaches on the fielder's choice.
Well, Andy Pettitte did it by moving the ball around, changing speeds, reading the bat, staying one step ahead of the hitters. Now, there's a lot of pitchers that throw 97, can't get people out because they throw it in the middle of the plate.
Here's Cameron Rupp. That's what he did last year at AAA. Pitch is low, 1-0. You get 2 innings or 35 pitches, and CC's now at 24. If you don't get to 35 after 2 innings, you just go to the bullpen and get the rest of your work in. High fly ball, right center. Ichiro is there. He'll put it away. And 2 scoreless innings for CC Sabathia. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We go to the bottom of the second. 0-0. We have been looking for Meredith Marakovich all day. Had no idea where she was, and now we spot her out there in the right field bleachers. Meredith, are you trying to get away from the media throng that's surrounding Masahiro Tanaka?
Michael, it's less about getting away from the media. It's more about getting a little bit of sun. It's a gorgeous day out here in the outfield. But you mentioned the media contingent following Masahiro Tanaka. I spoke with the Yankees public relations staff, and they said they were expecting about 150 or more media members here today. So many still photographers that they said they may do a bit of a rotation in the camera wells and rotate them out every half inning just so people have the opportunity to get their particular shot. And it's not just the coverage here in the United States. This is being broadcast in Japan as well. There are 3 separate stations, NHK, TBS of Japan, and J Sports, all have this game on right now. And first pitch is actually 1 in the morning in Japan, 3 in the morning in Japan. So by the time Masahiro Tanaka actually gets in the mound, it'll be about 4:30. So for everybody watching there, I say Ohio, which is good morning in Japanese, in case you didn't catch up on that before you came here, Michael.
Well, we learned that was one of the few things I learned from Kenny when we went to Japan, right? Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu.
It seems, though, that this does not fluster Tanaka at all. A lot of people have remarked to me, Meredith, how easygoing he is, and it seems like it's just a part of his life. It probably has been since he's been in high school.
It really has, and he is unbelievably poised. You almost forget that he's only 25 years old sometimes, and you wonder what would the transition process be like for Tanaka, and that still remains to be seen, but so far he seems to really be soaking it all in. He seems like a guy that really enjoys the spotlight, and something interesting that he said early when pitchers and catchers first reported, he was asked about the media contingent and everybody following him, and he said, "It's nice. I appreciate the coverage, but right now I haven't had any results out there on the mound. I want to get the results and then I want to talk to people, not until then." He said he's a guy that still has to prove himself here, and he very much realizes that. And yesterday he spoke in the clubhouse and said how excited he is to get out there on the mound for the first time.
Now, Joe Girardi has said, "I don't want my pitchers their first time around to be worried about results," but because this is so closely monitored, everything is dissected, you know that Tanaka wants to put a decent outing out there.
He does, but you know what? It's going to take time. There are some adjustments coming from Japan to here, obviously going every 5 days as opposed to going every 7 days. So I don't think the Yankees are going to look at him and look at this first outing and really the first couple outings and judge him on that. It's really about not putting too much pressure on himself. And that first bullpen session that he threw, there was a huge contingent watching that, a lot of cameras around there. And Joe Girardi mentioned the fact that he went out there with the plan, went about his business, and just executed. So it doesn't seem as though he's affected by any of the coverage, affected by the eyes on him, and it seems as though he really does know what he's doing and what he's trying to do. Now, you've talked so much about that splitter. I think people are excited to see that, but I think it's also important to note that that's certainly not his only pitch. He throws about 6 pitches total, so you'll get to see some of that repertoire here this afternoon.
Here's Tanaka's countryman, Ichiro Suzuki, pitches high. Now, you were in Lakeland yesterday, Meredith, and Kenny mentioned that you got a look at McCann's long home run. What was it like live?
Well, Torrey Hunter got quite the look at McCann's home run as well. It was interesting. Detroit had quite the shift on McCann, obviously looking for him to pull the ball, but that was totally irrelevant because he hit an absolute bomb, and Torrey Hunter was playing out in the outfield, and he kind of went up, was trying to track it, pretending, sat there, and then just watched it soar over his head and into the batting cages at that field in Lakeland. So it's certainly a nice change. Last year, Yankees catchers combined for just 8 home runs all season long. So yes, they want to see the power. They want to see the offense from McCann. That's part of the reason that they brought him here. But more than that, this spring training for Brian McCann, according to him, is all about learning this pitching staff. And so far, with games starting, he's getting a little bit more comfortable. He said that's the time where you really fast track that and you're able to get to know your pitchers.
Meredith, we'll talk to you a little bit later on with some interviews. So Ichiro swings on a 3-0 pitch. Yankees go down in order. Now it's time for Hiroki Kuroda as we go to the 3rd. The outing scoreboard shows a lot of zeros. Phillies and the Yankees have yet to put a run on the board. And now we see the second of the Yankees' big 3. 3 of their 5 starters are going to pitch in this game. We've seen Sabathia, 2 scoreless innings, and now it's Hiroki Kuroda.
Hiroki Kuroda, of course, he too, a variety of weapons, including a splitter.
Bunted back to the mound. Kuroda field fires, and not in time as Hernandez beats out the bunt.
Well, that's one thing that pitchers work on during the course of spring training. Pitchers fielding practice, fielding bunts, fielding ground balls. But Hernandez, just too much speed as he beat it out. I don't think this is that great a bunt. It's kind of back towards the mound. But Hernandez flying down the line. You can see he was easily safe. Gets himself a leadoff single.
Here's Ben Revere as Hernandez leads off first, held there by Joseph. Runner goes. That one is chopped to Jeter. He tags the runner, throws to first. It's a double play. Jeter didn't get any chances in the first game, but he's got a couple here today.
2 for the price of 1 to begin his defensive season. You can see Hernandez showing the speed again, off and running on the pitch. He's tagged out by the captain. Throw to first is in plenty of time to get Revere. And it's 2 down.
That's going to bring up Jimmy Rollins. He singled in the first against CeCe. And there's a strike. Now, we mentioned that Kuroda last year was 11-13. He really finished poorly because he seemed like he got fatigued. But boy, was he dominant at Yankee Stadium, a ballpark that yields home runs. He was 7-3 with a 2.35 ERA. But he struggled on the road, 4-10 with a 4.05. So despite his struggles, 11-13, the 3.31 ERA is outstanding for a pitcher pitching against the American League East. Now, we told you he ran out of gas last year, and the same thing happened in 2012. Last 8, 4.44 ERA. Last year, 6.56 ERA. So they've got to keep him fresher down the stretch because he's such an important part of what they want to do. Swings through the fastball, Rollins does.
Had a chance to talk to Jimmy Rollins before the game briefly. He hit a home run in yesterday's Phillies contest. I told him don't waste the ball down here in Florida. Former MVP in the National League.
Strike 3. He goes down looking. So a strong first inning for Hiroki Kuroda. No runs, a bunt single because of the double play. Nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Masahiro Tanaka beginning to warm up in the bullpen, so he'll look at the 5th inning as if he's starting the game. Later tonight on Yes, the Nets wrap up their long road trip as they battle the Bucks in Milwaukee. Coverage starts at 8 with the Verizon Fios Nets pregame, then catch all the action at tip-off only on Yes. Nets win that one. They go 4-2 on their 6-game road trip to open up the second half of the season. That would be outstanding. That one is driven foul down the right field line by Corbin Joseph. New pitcher for the Phillies. You see the Audi scoreboard, 0-0. It's Alfredo Gonzalez.
Phillies signed him out of Cuba, and he's got a chance to break into the rotation. Supposedly one of his best pitches is a good splitter. And when you face a pitcher who has a good split finger fastball, it's almost like you want to stay away from 2 strike counts as a hitter. You want to get to him early.
Signed by the Phillies in July of last year. He was signed to a bigger contract. Then they did a physical, didn't like what they saw, and the contract got considerably smaller. Joseph battling.
So they thought he might have some arm issues. Is that the point?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the first contract was for over $40 million. Then this one ended up being for $12 million. Grounded foul.
Well, we talked about it the other day, a chance for some of the Yankee minor leaguers like Corbin Joseph, who did get some time in the big leagues last year with 1 for 6 at the big league level. Open up some eyes again here in spring training.
Swings and misses. So he's down on strikes.
Good off-speed pitch from Gonzalez. You know, as you watch these players coming over from Cuba, it's happening more frequently, Michael. I think it's getting easier for them to get out of Cuba and a chance to perform at the minors and then in the big league level.
Let's go, Bernie.
Yasiel Puig, I think of him with the Dodgers right away. Cespedes with the Oakland A's.
Mason Williams hammers one foul.
So maybe Cuban started to loosening up on the reins and letting some of these players come and perform in the major leagues. Years ago, Cuba was a major source for Major League Baseball players. You think of Tony Perez, Louis Tion, Leo Cardenas, Mike Cuellar. All of these players are stars at the big league level.
There's a strike.
Unfortunately, they could not go home again, though. Maybe that will change.
The 0-2. Williams swings and misses. Ball in the dirt. Rupp gets an angle and makes the throw. So 2 outs on 2 strikeouts.
Struck out Williams on the same pitch that he got Joseph. Something off speed once he got him to 2 strikes.
Ken, I wonder if you sense the same thing I'm sensing. You can't make more out of the 4th game of spring training, but there's a certain buzz about today because we're going to get a chance to see somebody that's been spoken about so much. And Tanaka is a worldwide figure. The first game here on Thursday, the weather was overcast and wasn't a great day. And as I mentioned, it was Thursday. Not all the seats were filled, but today you'd be hard-pressed to find an empty seat in this place. And this game, we're carrying it on Yes, and then Major League Baseball Network is showing it all around the country as well. And Meredith mentioned that 3 networks in Japan are showing it. So this is a big story with the first chance to see Tanaka in action.
Plus, it's a Saturday, so people are off of work. Chance to come out and see some spring training baseball here in Tampa. And as you said, it's a gorgeous day. That's what Florida spring training is supposed to be all about. There's Tanaka warming up in the Yankee pen down the right field line.
And as of 10 a.m. today, they closed the advanced ticket window for today's game. No tickets were left, so 11,076 is capacity here at Steinbrenner Field, and it looks like it's certainly filled to the brim. Little standing room only as well. Brett Gardner grounds one in the hole, a base hit.
Well, Gardner lined out to Jimmy Rollins, and then he got the base hit to the left side. So Gardner on with his speed. That's part of the Japanese media contingent. They're just watching him warm up. He hadn't even gotten in a game yet.
Kenny, all the Japanese media who really uproot their lives and live in the States for 7 months during the baseball season, they document everything that he does from the moment he walks on to Yankee property to the moment he leaves. I think they leave him alone when he's off the field. But it's amazing. They document every single move.
It kind of reminds me of the same thing that Hideki Matsui went through. And he handled it so graciously, and it appears that Tanaka is doing the same thing. But it shows you what baseball fanatics they have in Japan. They just eat this stuff up. They just love to see their players come over here and do well.
Gardner is chased back. This, in fact, is the first spring training game that's been televised back to Japan since Matsui was a Yankee.
Well, Derek Jeter looking for his first hit of the spring. He's got a hitter's count here, 2-0. We talk about pitchers building up their arms. Base runners build up their legs as well. Somebody like Brett Gardner, who's got the team made, you might not see him run as much early in spring training. You don't want to beat yourself up early in spring training. But a player like Cesar Hernandez, who we saw earlier, we saw Chris Dickerson the other day with Pittsburgh, they're running. They have something to prove to their managers and to the coaches that the reason they should be on the team.
It's interesting you mentioned that because Jacoby Ellsbury, one of the new Yankees, signed as a free agent, told Joe Girardi, I don't steal bases in spring training. All I do is I take leads and see the jump that I'll get, but I don't want to steal a base in spring training.
Well, to steal a lot of bases, the number of bases that a player like Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury do, you take a certain amount of wear and tear to do it.
Jeter fouls it off in the count 3-2. So now Gardner will be going 3-2 and 2 outs.
And you think back to the days of Ricky Henderson and all the bases he stole, the all-time base stealer. And Ricky was well put together. I mean, he was like a running back, and that's why he was able to do just stolen base after stolen base after stolen base.
Pitch outside, so Jeter works a walk, and he reaches base for the first time this spring. He had a funny comment when he was interviewed after Thursday's game. When somebody from the media asked him, "Are you soaking this in? You said you were going to soak the whole year in." And he goes, "Oh, I'm soaking it. I'm soaking right now. I'm just soaking." He goes, "Believe me, I'm soaking." Derek's had some good lines this spring because the Yankees are playing 2 games in Panama this spring to honor Mariano Rivera, and Derek's actually going. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going." He said, "Because next year there's going to be a couple of games in Kalamazoo." And that's where Derek grew up.
I don't think he'd be playing baseball this time of year in Kalamazoo. Well, you know what? You get into March. The high schools start playing ball. Yeah. You know, in New York, I played enough games in the snow in March.
The 2-0. Strike, 2-1.
Well spotted fastball from Gonzalez. An experienced hitter at the plate. 7-time All-Star in McCann.
Of all the additions the Yankees made during the offseason, many people think that McCann might have been the most important one. The ones that don't think McCann think that it's probably Tanaka.
Well, the difference being that McCann has a chance to be on the field 5 times a week. Tanaka once every 5 days. And while pitching is of utmost importance, those everyday players, you know, I'm going to stick up for the everyday guys.
First and second, 2 outs. No score, bottom of the 3rd. 3-1 count. And the pitch is high, so McCann walks, and the bases are loaded for Brian Roberts.
Yeah, it all started out innocently enough for Gonzalez. He struck out the first 2 hitters. And a base hit and a couple of walks, and he finds himself in hot water.
Number 14.
Roberts struck out looking at a fastball that he thought was a bit high to end the first inning. Gardner's at 3rd, Jeter's at 2nd, and McCann is at 1st. And a breaking ball drops in there for a strike. Roberts spent his entire career with the Orioles and signed with the Yankees as a free agent. Last 3-4 years with the Orioles, though, he just could not stay healthy. Hip problems, concussion problems.
Nine opening day starts for Roberts as a second baseman for Baltimore. That's the most in team history. You think of all those years he was a thorn in the side of the Yankees while playing for Baltimore. And this is what Michael's talking about, the injuries, abdominal strain, concussion issues, hip surgery, knee and hamstring problems last year, missed the first 79 games. But he's a 2-time All-Star.
And the thing that was tough for the Orioles, the injury started to happen just when he had signed a 4-year, $40 million contract. Yeah. So the Orioles didn't get any bang for their buck at all. And he's a favorite of the Orioles owner, Peter Angelos. But he needed a change of scenery, and the Orioles needed to move on. So this was an opportunity for him with Robinson Cano vacating second base, taking the contract with the Mariners, and it's a chance for him to play a lot if he stays healthy. Two-two. Chopped back to the mound. Play is made. Roberts is tagged out, and that will do it. No runs a hit, no errors, and 3 men left on base. We go to the 4th. Monday afternoon, the Yankees are back on Yes with a game against the Washington Nationals. Tune in at 1 for the latest scoop from Steinbrenner Field. Then Tuesday night at 7, come back to Yes, see the Yankees and the Orioles square off under the lights. It's only on Yes. Some bad weather forecast in New York for the next couple of days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Big snowstorm forecasted, so you can warm things up by watching Yes at 1 o'clock.
Isn't that getting old, all that snow?
Very old.
Yeah.
Not getting old, it's old. So Kuroda out for his second inning of work, and he deals a strike to Dominic Brown. Brown, Bird, and Abreu. Pitch high.
Now we talk about Tanaka's split finger fastball. Kuroda has a pretty good one himself. When he gets you to 2 strikes, he's got various ways of getting hitters out.
Now it's interesting, the way it's set up now, it would be Sabathia, Kuroda, and Tanaka, which means that Tanaka would pitch the 3rd game of the year, which would be the 3rd and final game of the 3-game set in Houston against the Astros to start the season. But there is a school of thought that it might be best to split up Kuroda and Tanaka because their stuff is kind of similar. And even Kuroda said, ground ball to Jeter, he gobbles it up. Kuroda said, I would split us up. He said, because we're both from Japan, we both have that same hesitation. He said, and you don't want hitters to get comfortable in back-to-back games with the same sort of pitchers. But the Yankees and Joe Girardi have not committed to splitting them up.
Well, you know, all 3 working on the same day here, so they can move them around anywhere they want from this point on in spring training. And of course, that's going to happen because CC should start the season in Houston. So you're saying maybe Nova jumps in between them?
Could be Nova jumps in between them, and then the first game that Tanaka would pitch would be against Toronto. But again, the Yankees have not laid out their plans at all, but by starting all 3 today, they certainly have maneuverability to do what they want. Popped up. Roberts puts it away.
Very high sky here this afternoon, as Michael mentioned in our open. Not a cloud in the sky. And one thing that happens during spring training games, you know, pop-ups and fly balls can be adventurous. A lot of sun, a lot of wind here in Florida. And you have stadiums that don't have upper decks to frame the baseball as it comes off the bat. So that's why if you catch fly balls down here in pop-ups, you'll be ready once the season starts.
Here's Bobby Abreu. And there's a strike. And another strike.
There's one of the weapons for Kuroda, particularly to left-hander here. That spillover fastball looks like it's going to be inside. Then it darts for the inside corner, and he picks up strikes.
Swing and a miss. 17 pitches for Kuroda, so he's got some work to do down in the bullpen. Next up, we'll see Tanaka. Should be fun. We go to the bottom of the 4th.
Fans, Monday afternoon following the Yankees game. Keep it right here on Yes. As my broadcast partner Michael Kay and his radio co-host Don LaGreca give you their take on the hottest sports topics of the day. It's the Michael Kay Show, Monday at 4 and every weekday afternoon. That's right here on Yes. So, Michael, I'll get to throw it to you on Monday.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, you will. It's a nice little family picture there. Beautiful day, sunscreen applied, watching Yankee baseball. And we go to the bottom of the fourth. Here is Francisco Cervelli. And there's a strike. New shortstop for the Phillies is Ronnie Cedeno, taking over for Jimmy Rollins. Oh, 2. You know, with Cervelli up, you recall that in a spring training game against Tampa Bay a couple of years ago, he broke his wrist when Elliott Johnson ran him over. And that's the type of play that they're really trying to eliminate with the new collision rule. But I was talking at length before the game with Joe Girardi and Buck Martinez, who does the Toronto Blue Jay games and was just here watching this one. And Girardi said there's still going to be collisions at home plate. If the catcher has the ball, he can position himself in front of home plate and the runner can run him over. He said, so this does not eliminate collisions. It eliminates collisions where the runner goes out of his way to try to hit the catcher. He said, which is what Elliott Johnson did to Francisco Cervelli. That thing will no longer be allowed. He said if a catcher gives a runner a lane to slide, they can't run over the catcher.
And if it's deemed by the umpire that you've gone out of your way to run over the catcher, no matter what happens on the play, say the catcher drops the ball, you're going to be out.
(3-2), and Cervelli will walk. You know, there are some catchers that are reluctant to block the plate. They don't want to block the plate. They don't want to get hurt. And Joe said, that's why I like the rule. He said, so you almost don't shame somebody into being macho where he blocks the plate and he really doesn't want to. He said, players are too valuable and they get paid too much money to get hurt. He said, the average fan doesn't want to see the backup or the third string guys. You've got to keep your players healthy in baseball.
Yeah, there was a time when outfield walls weren't padded as well. Outfielders got to be more expensive. They started padding the walls. Outfielders make the great plays. You see with less chance of injury now when they leap over the wall to make some plays and make some rob home runs. Less chance of injury. You see the players standing along the railings watching the game in the dugout. At one time there were no railings in the dugout. You know, line drives could go in there and pick people off. Now there's netting where you can actually sit and see through the netting and watch the game. All things trying to make things you know, much more safer around the ballpark for the players and the coaches.
Kelly Johnson right now is part of the solution at third base for the Yankees, or they hope that he is. The only thing that's a bit of a concern is he's only played 14 games in his career at third base, but he can hit, and they think that he can field the position well enough. But they're planning right now to have him split time, and at the moment it looks like he's going to split time with Eduardo Nunez, and they've been somewhat reluctant to play Nunez at third in the past, but Joe Girardi said we are not reluctant now. He's going to have to play third. And 2 straight walks by Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's walked 4 of the last 5 hitters. And this is not going to endear him to the manager Ryan Sandberg or the pitching coach Rich Doobie. There is Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Fame second baseman. You know, a lot of fans, know he was a great Cubby. His career with the Chicago Cubs, but they don't remember he started out with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies actually traded him to the Cubs in one of those deals that worked out for Chicago and certainly didn't work out for the Phillies when you trade away a future Hall of Famer.
Pitch to Ichiro's low. He became the manager last year on an interim basis on August 16th. The team went 20-22 after he took over. And then he signed a 3-year contract during the offseason. Only Hall of Fame player currently managing in the majors.
You know, one thing, the trend of late, you see managers getting jobs without any experience and doing pretty good, doing very well. Ryan Sandberg managed 6 years in the minor leagues.
Yes,
so
he did.
He paid his dues.
Way inside. But what got him to the Hall of Fame is his playing career. 16 seasons, one with the Phils, 15 with the Cubs. Won the MVP in '84, 10-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves. He had 40 home runs in '90, which led the National League. And in 2005, he was enshrined in Cooperstown.
Smooth fielding second baseman with power.
Grounded and off the glove of a diving Ashe, and it trickles into left field. Cervelli will score. Stopping at second is Johnson. It's an RBI single for Ichiro, and the Yankees are on the board. They lead 1-0.
Ichiro delivers the leadoff walk. You're just asking for trouble when you put that leadoff man with a base on ball, slashing type swing. That has produced over 4,000 hits here in the United States and in Japan combined. As Cervelli scores the first run of the day.
Here's Corbin Joseph, and he loops that one into left center. Ben Revere will make the catch for the first out.
Yankee center fielder, number 97, Mason Williams, number 97.
Here's Mason Williams, struck out in the 3rd inning.
And we talked about Mason briefly in the game against Pittsburgh the other day, and 286 career hitter in the minor leagues, and plus we mentioned the fact he is a strong defender in the outfield. Maybe a couple more years, you'll see him at Yankee Stadium.
Way out in front of that off speed. Count 0-1.
I was watching him hit in batting practice the other day, and I thought he had a good idea of what he was doing. Here's the resume on Mason Williams. Winter Garden, Florida. I believe that's over near Orlando.
Count 0-2.
Seemed to have an idea. He hit the pitches that were away to the opposite field. When he got something on the inner half, he was able to pull it. So far, he's gotten 2 good split fingers from Gonzalez, who's trying to get himself out of further jam here.
And that one gets past Rupp and allows the runners to move up.
This is going to be a wild pitch. He went to the split again, and this one's in the dirt. And it's going to get through the legs of the catcher Rupp. Well, a lot of break on that one. And the runners will advance, and now, even with 2 strikes, it's up. The Phillies going to bring the infield about halfway.
Working from the stretch, the righty deals. Pitch is high.
Play discipline, not chasing the high fastball. Could be a setup for another split.
Missed inside, 3-2.
Yeah, it looked like a cutter or a slider.
Thrown a lot of pitches so far in an inning plus 50 pitches to get 4 outs. Yankees lead 1-0. They loaded the bases in the third, but he got out of it. This time, he's not been so lucky. A runner in, runners on second and third with 1 out.
I think one thing Mason Williams has to figure out is minor leagues, you get to 3-2. Sometimes it's an automatic fastball. That's not the case here. And he got a breaking ball and fouled it off his foot.
Now they're saying he didn't foul it off his foot, so Ruff is going to step on the bag for the second out. Mason Williams saying that hit my foot. And now Joe Girardi will go out and talk with Dan Iasonia.
This could be in the future a replay situation. Not in today's game. They're not using that today. I'll tell you what, it was close. You can't really tell from that angle. He acted as though maybe this angle would be the definitive angle. See if the ball actually hits that right foot. Still hard to tell.
Now Brett Gardner due up. And it looks like they're going to signal to the bullpen with Gonzalez having thrown so many pitches. So we're going to step aside for just a moment. Yankees have runners on second and third with 2 outs, and the Phillies go to the pen. Yanks up 1-0. Bottom of the 4th inning here at Steinbrenner Field in a sun-splashed day in Tampa, Florida. And the Phillies will go to Kevin Munson, a right-hander. And that's what he did last year in the minors. 53 games, a 4.12 ERA, 66 strikeouts in 54 and 2/3 innings.
That would tell you he's got a power arm.
And right behind the gentleman in the blue pullover is Masahiro Tanaka, who is waiting his turn. He will come out to start the 5th for the Yankees.
Gardner's hit the ball hard twice, lined out to short his first time up.
One and 0.
See Gardner leading off these games here in Florida, but it should be interesting, Michael, to see how Joe Girardi sets the lineup up during the regular season with the acquisition of Jacoby Ellsbury, who's one of the premier leadoff hitters in all of baseball. You know, Gardner could be dropped down to the 9th slot. It's almost like him having 2 hitters, leadoff type hitters back to back. Jeter would bat second.
And that was one of the reasons the Yankee felt comfortable giving Gardner the 4-year extension. Never complains. And Yankee GM Brian Cashman said he's all about team. We asked him to move the left. Never said anything. Bat him 9th, doesn't say anything. All he wants to do is have the team win. Grounded to first. Rough boots, and has to beat Gardner to the bag, and he does for the final out of the 4th. Yankees get 1. They have a 1-0 lead, and Masahiro Tanaka will come out for his Yankee debut. We saw him at the stadium. We've seen him on tape pitch in Japan. 24-0. What does it translate to in the States? The first step is next, right here on Yes. Very few professional baseball players have had a better season than Tanaka had last year with Rakuten. 24-0 in the regular season. His ERA, not too bad, 1.27, and it doesn't end there. 8 regular season complete games, so he starts and finishes. In the Japan series, he actually picked up a Game 7 save after pitching Game 6. without a day of rest. And now his Yankee journey begins. The Yankees gave him $155 million and a $20 million posting fee to Rakuten in order to sign him. 28 games last year, 27 starts, and you see the numbers, 183 strikeouts in 212 innings. And he will face Darren Ruff. The 25-year-old right-hander deals, swung on and missed. As he came out of the Yankee dugout, the crowd, many of them gave him a standing ovation. They've heard so much about him, they finally get to see him in a game situation. And the count 0-2.
Fastball followed by a sharp breaking ball, and Darren Ruff is in the hole, 0-2.
Every pitch he throws, you can hear the clicks of the cameras. Listen in. Lined into center field. It is a base hit. Mason Williams cuts it off. And a leadoff single for Darren Ruff.
Too much of the plate on an 0-2 pitch. And Ruff hanging in there, cutting down his swing. Ball kind of drifts back towards the middle, and that's a hittable pitch.
There's Cody Ashe. Now he has more than 5 pitches, and Francisco Cervelli joked, he said, I'm going to have to take my glove off to give signs. Fly ball left field. Gardner battles the sun and puts it away for the first out.
It's very similar to the situation that Yu Darvish had with the Texas Rangers when he came over from Japan to pitch for the Texas Rangers, and he came in with a boatload of pitches as well. They had to cut down the number and go with the most effective ones. Of course, Darvish has had 2 very strong seasons for the Rangers.
The deal he signed with the Yankees is a 7-year deal, which takes him through 2020, but he does have an opt-out after 2017. Coming off a Pacific League MVP season. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. So Ruff with an 0-1 count. Those are the pitches that he throws. 35.1% 4-seam fastball. Then the slider, the splitter, and that's really the out pitch is the splitter. 2-seam fastball, curveball, cutter, and doesn't throw the change all that often.
Is it 7 pitches?
7 pitches. He also won the Sawamura Award last year, which is the Japanese equivalent of the Cy Young Award. And if you're 24-0, if you don't win that award.
With a 1.27?
If there's somebody better than that. Now, Brian McCann has caught Tanaka in the bullpen. He said he has a great split that falls off the table. Motion is exactly the same as his fastball motion, which is key. And that's what you need to get those swings and misses. Austin Romine actually hit against him in a BP session. And Romine said, tracking it, you couldn't tell what it was until it was halfway in. He said, you can already tell he's going to have guys looking like fools with that pitch.
Here's the motion that Michael's talking about. He has enough fastball. It's going to sit about 92, 93. But I've also heard when he gets in trouble with men on base, he can dial it up, throw even harder.
Fly ball left field. Gardner is there for the second out. I was speaking to an agent yesterday, Kenny, and he had scouted Tanaka in Japan. And he said, anybody who's doubting whether this guy's going to make it, he goes, there aren't many pitchers pitchers that can throw a splitter like he can throw, he said. And he's got the makeup of a bulldog. He wants to succeed. He said this guy's going to do very, very well in the stakes. And it's not an agent that represents Tanaka. Hernandez takes inside. And there's a curiosity factor. What does 24-0 in Japan mean here in the States? What does that mean?
I think when you're brand new to the hitters and you go around the league, it's almost like your first 2 at-bats that you face hitters, the hitters are just trying to see what's going on here. And that way, by the time they kind of figure it out, you're already halfway through the game. And with 7 pitches available, you know, there's some starters only throw 2. You should have at least 3.
There are many levels of adjustment that he's going to have to go through. And a lot of people talk about, well, the baseball is different here than it is in Japan. True. Strike zone might be different. The hitters are better. But a lot of people are most concerned about the transition in lifestyle. And by that I mean in Japan, all the teams are within one time zone. Here in the States, he pitches in New York, then the Yankees are going to fly to Anaheim. There's a big difference on the body. There aren't that many days off. Where's he going to find places to eat and be comfortable in every new city that he's been to that he's never ever been to before? These are things that you don't consider out on the field, but actually could impact how you perform. And another big one is, in Japan, a pitcher pitches once a week. That's it. You could be the Monday pitcher, the Wednesday pitcher, the Friday pitcher. Here he's going to pitch once every 5 days. And the Yankees, in a bow to the fact that he's used to pitching once every 7 days, will try to give him an extra day off whenever they can as he transitions into that. Runner will go from first with 2 outs. The 3-2. Popped up left side. Kelly Johnson gives it a look, and it's in the seats.
Yeah, it's interesting in Japan because if you have a favorite pitcher, he'll always pitch on the same day of the week. And if you want to see your favorite pitcher and he pitches on a Monday during the course of the rest of the season, that's when you'll probably see him. And you're right about the travel. And that gets old after you get down to August and September. That's why they're called the dog days.
3-2. Foul tip held on to by Cervelli, and there's the first strikeout for Tanaka. His first inning is under his belt. His professional career in the States has begun. Today's game on Yes is brought to you in part by NYY Steak Midtown, now open and accepting reservations. 7 West 51st Street, between 5th and 6th Avenue. For information and reservations, visit nysteak.com or call 646-307-7912. Number 2 leads off here in the bottom of the 5th. Jeter fouls it back. Jeter struck out and walked. Grounded to third. Ashe gets the big hop, fires high and over the head of Ruff, allowing Jeter to reach, and he will take second because the ball goes into the stands.
No problems with the ground ball. The Ashe at third, he came up with that cleanly, but there's 2 parts to every play on the infield. And the second part goes awry here. Well over the head of the first baseman Ruff and into the seats.
So Jeter's at second. Munson on the mound against McCann. Pitch outside, 1-0. Yankees lead 1-0 in a game where we will see, or have now seen, 3/5 of the Yankees starting rotation pitch in this game. Sabathia with a scoreless 2. Kuroda with an economical scoreless 2. And so far, Tanaka with a scoreless 1. He has 1 more to go.
I think fans should remember, though, the pitchers, all the pitchers you see in early spring training, they're in the building mode. They're building up the strength in their arms.
Foul ball.
Not many pitchers look like they're like it's July in spring training, like they're in mid-season form. They're all working on getting their breaking balls over the plate, building up the arm strength so they can power the fastball through the zone and by hitters. You know, when you look at the pitchers so far in this afternoon's game, I think the one that was the most impressive thus far was Kuroda. And even he would say there's certain things I got to work on.
And McCann walks, so he's been on base all 3 times, a double and 2 walks.
Philly pitchers have handed out 5 base on balls today. 4 of them by Gonzalez, who preceded Munson to the mound.
Brian Roberts struck out looking and then grounded back to the pitcher, who tagged him out along the first base line.
Roberts, during the course of his career with the Orioles, of course, was one of the best leadoff hitters in the game. 3 years where he had over 50 doubles. And usually in this time of spring training, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. They got here about 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 days earlier than the hitters did. Trying to build up that arm strength. Yeah, I'm trying to recall the days in spring training years ago when you face pitchers for the first time. It's not really batting practice. It's more like pitching practice. You're not very aggressive at the plate, and not really until you start facing a team in a different uniform. That's when it all starts to come back to you.
Foul back to the screen, still 1 and 2. That is the NHK monitor, and it's all about Tanaka. So there's a game going on, but that is the sidebar. It is all about Tanaka.
What, do you think they're doing a split screen?
No, it's just one screen. The 1-2. Fouled away. Hey, if you're up at 4 or 5 in the morning, you deserve to see what you want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now it's 4:30 in Japan.
And you know, at least it's a weekend.
Roberts battling.
You know, it's not like tomorrow you have to battle to get on the bullet train or the subway system in Japan, in Tokyo. That is the preferred mode of transportation in Japan. It's trains, subways. You remember, Michael?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Grounded to first. They go to second. They get 1. That's all they'll get as Roberts reaches on the fielder's choice and Jeter moves to third.
Yankees captain number 29, Francisco Sabathia.
So Tanaka just waiting in the dugout until he goes back out there for the 6th. Yankees lead 1-0.
Some of the things you work on in spring training is situational hitting. And here's a situation for Francisco Cervelli, who's flied to left and drawn a walk and scored the only run of the game. During batting practice, Kevin Long, the hitting coach, will stand by the cage and yell out situations for the hitters, and they are trying to hit the ball accordingly. In this situation, a fly ball will get the job done. Deep enough to the outfield and score Jeter from third. Try and get ahead on the count and get something you can drive.
Off the glove of Ashe, goes straight up in the air. A run will score. Moving to second is Roberts, and we'll see how they score it as the Yankees lead 2-0.
I believe I heard base hit. So they're going to give Cervelli a run batted in. He got the job done as Jeter scores. Of course, Cervelli embroiled in the chance to get the backup job, backing up Brian McCann. Ashe can't handle it. Jeter scores, and the Yankees are up by 2.
First and second, still one out. Here's Kelly Johnson. 1-0. Reading the Sporting News baseball preview issue last night, and they have the Phillies picked for last in the National League East.
Here's a team that won the division, what, 4 or 5 years in a row?
And won the World Series in 2008. That one gets past Rupp as the runners move up.
That's going to be a wild pitch. And now the same thing applies for Kelly Johnson. Situational hitting, chance to drive in a run here. Philly's going to bring the infield in. Johnson, an 8-year vet.
Last year, the American League East, Yankees and the Orioles were tied for third. The Blue Jays finished last, and the Red Sox won the East and went on to win the World Series. Grounded to first, but kicks foul. And a broken bat for Johnson.
Yeah, from 2007 to 2011, the Phillies won the National League East 5 consecutive seasons.
Now, one of the knocks on the Phillies coming into this year is that they're an older team.
Yeah,
and the Yankees are an older team too, but they're an older team coming off bad years. And in order for the Phillies to compete, the older team has to have years the way they did when they were younger.
Yeah.
Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done. But, you know, the odds makers are saying that it probably will not.
You saw Larry Bowa in the middle of the, you saw Sandberg on the right, Larry Bowa in the middle. Bowa taking over as the bench coach this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. Longtime Philly star. And for a while was on Joe Torre's coaching staff as a third base coach here in the Bronx of the Yankees. Bowa, Gold Glove shortstop in his days with the Philadelphia Phillies.
And comes out of the broadcasting business to go back on the field. He was with the MLB Network and did a good job with them.
Yeah, he did.
Blunt, forthright. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Swings through the fastball for the second out.
So Munson picks up a big strikeout. The infield now able to drop back with 2 outs. But he's not quite out of the woods yet.
Ichiro drove in the Yankees' first run, the game's first run, with a single off the glove of Ashe. Second and third, infield backs up now with 2 outs. Hit sharply to short. Cedeno backs up, fields, and fires to get Ichiro for the final out of the 5th. But the Yankees get 1 on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 men left. It's time for Tanaka to come out for a second inning of work. He has a 2-0 lead as we go to the 6th.
We're going to take a look at Tanaka's first strikeout in the Yankee uniform. It ended last inning. Fastball inside for ball, splitter down and away. Falls behind in the count, but then fights back. Fastball hits the outside corner for a strike. Same place, 2-2, well spotted. Missed with a breaking ball, count goes full. Next pitch is fouled off, high fastball. He's going to come back to the pitch he had the most command with during the course of this at-bat. It was a fastball that puts him away, and that's the strikeout that left 1 man on base.
Now, in their last year in Japan before coming over to the States, Yu Darvish 18-6 with a great ERA, 276 strikeouts. Kuroda in 2007, 12-8, 3.56. And Daisuke Matsuzaka 17-5, 2.13 before going to the Red Sox. And we've detailed what Tanaka did last year, 24-0, 1.27. Ben Revere against Masahiro Tanaka. And there's a strike.
Revere has great speed. He's a threat to bunt. Former Minnesota Twin. You can see it on the corners guarding against the bunt.
Revere is flied to center and wrapped into a 6-6-3 double play. 25 years old. He'll pitch the entire season at that age.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's why it's key to get ahead, because you've got to protect the plate. You can't say, well, this might drop, I'll just take it.
Fans that missed our open, we talked about his signature pitch, and it's a split finger fastball that people feel is the best on the planet. It's up and then disappears. I think Ben Revere would agree. That was nasty.
Here's Ronnie Cedeno, and there's a strike. You know, in the States, Kenny, it's so rare to be able to sign a free agent who's 25 or 26, because you have to have 6 years in the big leagues before you become a free agent. And usually you get called up maybe at the age of 21, 22, 23. That one right in on the hands, and he loops it into center field, a base hit for Cedeno. There have been a couple of exceptions. I think the first time he became a free agent, Alex Rodriguez was 26, and if Mike Trout doesn't sign an extension in 4 years, he'll be young. If you come up at 19 or 18, then you're going to be a free agent at a very good age where a team could feel comfortable giving you a long-term deal.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Manny Machado in Baltimore. Same sort of thing can happen.
Maybe Bryce Harper with the Nationals if they don't sign him before time.
Yeah, but you're talking about players who teams would like to keep.
And Rakuten wanted to keep Tanaka, but he wanted to pitch in the States. And at one point, he would have been a free agent. They would not have gotten a posting fee for him. And the posting system changed this year drastically, because in the past, teams would bid, sealed bids on who would get the right to negotiate with the player, and then the player could only negotiate with that team. That's what happened with Daisuke Matsuzaka. The Red Sox posting fee was over $50 million. So they won the right to post. Same thing with Darvish. But this one, anybody that wanted to negotiate with him had to put up $20 million. And that was the money that would go to Rakuten, and then he could negotiate with all those teams. And there were several teams in Major League Baseball that were hot and heavy after Tanaka, and the team that signed him, in this case the Yankees, they were the team that had to send the $20 million, and the other team got their $20 million posting fee back. Foul back. The teams that officially bid on Tanaka, we know the Yankees did, they got him. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, and the White Sox. and all the bids were at least 6 years and $100+ million. Swing and a miss. Brown down on strikes. That's the 3rd strikeout for Tanaka.
You know, one thing I've seen so far, he has very good control of his fastball, and that's the key. Up and in, ties up Dominic Brown and puts him away. What do they say? Up and in, low and away. That was the up and in version that picks up the strikeout.
Here's Kelly Dugan pinch hitting for the designated hitter Marlon Byrd. Throwing strikes, working quickly in the count, 0-1.
Another well-spotted fastball. Just missed.
Now his fastball hangs around 91, 92, can get to 93, but if he really wants to bring it, he does save something. He can get it up to the mid-90s. But the fastball really is not his out pitch. His out pitch, as Kenny has detailed, is that splitter. But the fastball sets everything else up.
Not quite as sharp with his breaking pitches today. The splitter's good, fastball's excellent.
Well, he's 4 pitches away now from his limit. It's 2 innings with 35 pitches for all 3 starters that the Yankees sent out there. The 2-1. High fly ball, center field. Shading his eyes from the sun is Mason Williams, and that's an impressive 2-inning outing for Masahiro Tanaka. He struck out 3, he gave up 2 hits, and did not allow a run. Welcome to the United States and the New York Yankees. Tanaka. Yankees lead 2-0 as we go to the 7th. Yankees partial season ticket plans are now available starting at $90 for our 9-game plan. With new lower pricing and recently added locations in the field and main levels, now's the time to get in the game with Yankees partial season ticket plans. For more information, call 212-YANKEES or visit Yankees.com. Well, Joe Girardi has to be happy. 2 shutout innings for Sabathia, 2 shutout innings for Kuroda, and 2 shutout innings for Tanaka. And probably happiest with Tanaka, who's making his debut and trying to get acclimated. He knows what he has with Kuroda and Sabathia. And a good outing by Tanaka with the eyes of his nation on him. Ken Giles takes over and deals low to Corbin Joseph as we go to the bottom of the 6th.
Look back at the the top 3 pitchers in the Yankee rotation. I would say all 3 of them had successful debuts. Sabathia, 2 innings, no runs, 2 hits, a strikeout, no walks. Kuroda, 2 innings, no runs, a hit, 2 strikeouts, no walks. And Tanaka, 2 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, and no walks. So for the most part, all 3 of them throwing strikes.
Popped up right field, and it dumps in front of Abreu for a base hit here in the 6th. Kenny, we said it before, you can't make too much of a spring training game, but I would think for Masahiro Tanaka it meant something to him to succeed and not get hit around. As we said, 3 separate networks are televising this game live in the morning to Japan, and he did not want to get embarrassed, and now it's kind of a weight off of his shoulders, and did what he had to do. They're talking to Kuroda right now, and next up for them, the Japanese media, they will talk to Tanaka. Popped up on the bunt, and the catch is made by Rupp. And you could be as cool as you want to be, Kenny, but you know that's a sigh of relief.
Yes, it is. I'm sure he's glad this day has come and gone. And the fact that he pitched so well for Joe Girardi and the Yankees. And the Yankees leading 2-0. And I'm sure they'll ask him if he was nervous or butterflies. I don't know how you say butterfly in Japanese. But yeah, the contingent, the Japanese media contingent, is coming closer to the Yankee clubhouse.
Zoilo Almonte takes a pitch high. Zoilo is pinch hitting for Gardner. Actually was with the Yankees for 34 games last year, 236, a home run and 9 runs batted in.
Now, he suffered an ankle sprain and really set him back last year. At times he showed some potential. The new pitcher for the Phillies is Ken Giles.
One and two.
95. Now, for the longest time, wasn't Bill Giles the president of the Phillies, or one of the front office people?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Ooh. Way inside. Runner goes. The throw to second. They got him in plenty of time to nail Corbin Joseph. Score that a 2-6 putout.
Good play by Rupp. First of all, not an easy pitch to handle. Almonte jumping out of the way, comes up with it on the backhand and throws a strike to second base.
And Almonte goes down on strikes. So Ken Giles works a scoreless 6th inning. No run to hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. We go to the 7th. Yankees 2 and the Phillies nothing. We go to the top of the 7th inning here in Tampa, and on the Ford scoreboard it's Yankees 2 and the Phillies nothing. And we said when we started this game that this was going to be about pitching, and it certainly has been. 3/5 of the Yankees starting rotation featured in this game, as Joe Girardi played it like the 7th game of the World Series, right, Joe?
I did. Well, I knew you were broadcasting today's game, so I figured I'd give you something to talk about.
All right, let's talk about Tanaka. What did you think? Obviously, I wouldn't say obviously, but you would think that he had butterflies.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, if he didn't, then we know he's not human. So maybe that's how you go 24-0. But I'm sure he did. I like the command of his fastball, and I like this split. You know, he tried to mix in a few curveballs. It's not a pitch that he throws a lot, but it's a feeling pitch, and I like the idea of him mixing in. So I was really pleased. He was also down, and I think that's important in spring training as you develop arm strength. You know, I saw it from CC, I saw it from Hero. I was very happy with the location of our pitches today.
How about his demeanor, Joe? He seems like he's very solid and very chill. Is that what you get from him?
That's what I've sensed. There doesn't seem to be a lot that phases him.
Broken bat, line drive, caught by Marusak for the first out. So Bobby Abreu breaks his bat.
Well, we love those one-pitch outs, but I know you don't, but we do. But you know, I think his demeanor is really good. I think he's handled all this really well so far. You know, there's a lot of attention on him. I mean, when he walks in the morning, there's 10 people snapping his picture in the tunnel. But I think he's handled it well, and he's got to know some of the guys, and the guys have been, you know, talking to him, and it's worked pretty well so far.
Dellin Betances on the mound for the Yankees right now. Hard-throwing right-hander. And he deals to Darren Ruff. Deals a strike. All right, let's go backwards then. Kuroda looked outstanding. I guess he had to throw some extra pitches in the bullpen, right?
Yeah, in a normal day you might let him go 3 innings. But because Tanaka had started warming up, we didn't want to delay his and mess him up. So we just had him throw a few more. I think he threw, gosh, he only threw about 19 pitches today in the game. And I thought he was extremely sharp. And as I said, I thought all 3 of them were.
Ground ball in the hole. Diving stop there by Dean Anna. The long throw. Got him. Oh, what a play by Dean Anna. Joe, I've heard a lot of good things about Anna, who came over from the Padres in the deal. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, he has the ability to play all over the place. We like him. He's a guy that really works the count and at bats, and he can hit. So he's played really well, and you know, we're going to have a lot of competition here at these couple infield spots, extra infield spots, but he's played extremely well so far.
And that might be the play of the spring thus far in the infield.
Yeah, it might be. We have a sponsor for that, don't we?
We will now.
Eventually.
Cody Ashe takes up and away. Joe, the only pitcher that's competing for a starting job, as far as I can tell, that we haven't seen is Michael Pineda, and he's going to pitch tomorrow in a simulated game?
He's going to pitch in a simulated game, and then his next game will be a real game. All these starters will pitch in a simulated game at some point. It's a way to build them up. It's a way to go build it up without, you know, necessarily having a real long inning. So his first one will be a simulated game, and then he'll be back out on the hill.
What have you liked so far that you've seen from him?
I like the way the ball's come out of his hand. I think it's come out very well so far. We've been very pleased with his bullpens, his batting practices, and he just looks different than when we got him, and it's kind of exciting.
Fouled away. Joe, very quickly before this out is made, there's a lot of talk about either Tanaka pitching Game 3 of the season in Houston or Game 4 in Toronto. Is there a method there? Would you want to split up Tanaka and Kuroda because they're similar?
Well, you think about always, you know, giving a different look every day. I think you just have to iron it out and see how spring goes and how it goes for everyone before we determine exactly what the rotation is. We have an idea of what it's going to be. I mean, we haven't mapped out what it's going to be, but it could be subject to change depending on what happens. But you do like to give a different look every day.
And by pitching all three today, that gives you the maneuverability to place them where you want.
Yes, and it also gives us the ability.
Ground ball to Anna. He drops it. So after we said such nice things, he picks up an E6.
So it also gives us the ability to spread Tanaka out so he doesn't have to go every fifth day, in a sense, as time goes on here. And we thought that was important.
Now, do you want to work him into the once every 5 days situation because of what happened in Japan with once every 7?
We will sometimes. And then there are other times we might give him an extra day. And until we actually go through it, I can't tell you exactly how it's going to happen, but it gives us the flexibility to do that.
Joe, the last 2 years, Kuroda has really pitched differently in his final 8 starts. Looks like he's been fatigued. Is there any plan to try to stave that off?
You know, I mean, we'll watch him carefully like we always do. I mean, it's not a guy that, you know, we push to 120 pitches. We try to limit him around 100, 110 at the most. But it's, you know, if we have to make an adjustment in the middle of the season, we will. That's just something that we'll have to try to plan, and sometimes the season dictates that.
Ground ball to third. Solarte with a nice play, and that will do it. Joe, great to talk to you as always. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that was Joe Girardi, Yankee manager, in the 7, no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on base at the end of 6.5. It's the Yankees 2 and the Phillies nothing, but we stay right here to honor America in Tampa.
To preserve our freedom. Please direct your attention to the Yankees dugout and welcome Petty Officer First Class Preston Watts of the United States Navy. He recently returned from deployment from Bagram, Afghanistan in support of special operations and is standing with the Yankees during the singing of God Bless America. Let's have a warm round of applause for Petty Officer First Class Preston Watts and all of our brave men and women for their sacrifices for our country. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and remove your caps and join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
To the ocean
I'm with Yankees pitcher Hiroki Kuroda. Hiroki, you made those 2 innings look awfully easy today. What was the key for you out there on the mound?
今日はツーシーム系のねボールがしっかり動いてくれたんで、それで内野ゴロを打ち取れたと思いますけど。
I think I had a good movement on my two-seamers, so I was able to get groundouts.
This early in the season, what are you looking to accomplish in an outing like this?
何を目的としているか。
もう少しねいろんなボールをたくさん使いたいボールもあったんですけど、イニングも短かったですし、今後はねそういういろんなボールを使ってまたスプリングトレーニング進めていきたいなと思います。
I wish I could have pitched more different pitches, but I only had 2 innings, so from now on I would like to try on my other stuff too.
3 very good pitchers on the mound: CC Sabathia, yourself, Masahiro Tanaka. How curious were you about Tanaka?
田中投手どれぐらい興味深かったの？
そうですね。僕も実際生で彼のピッチングを見たことがなかったんで、モニター越しですけど見てすごく落ち着いていいピッチングだったと思いますけど。
I never had a chance to watch him live, not through TV, but today it was he had a nice outing.
Hiroki, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Meredith. So Tanaka pitches well. Kuroda probably pitches the best of the 3, although all 3 pitch shutout ball. You see the Ford scoreboard, 2-0 Yankees lead. Jeremy Horst is on the mound facing Dean Anna. And that one is slapped into center field. It's a base hit in front of Tyson Gillies, the new center fielder for the Phillies.
Dean Anna came over from the San Diego Padres with a reputation of a player who had a good on-base percentage. 386 on-base percentage in the minor leagues. And those are the type of players that teams are looking for, guys who just get on base, tough to get out.
And those are the numbers that Horst had last year. Pete O'Brien, power hitting right-handed hitter, pinch hits for McCann right here. High fly ball right field. Zach Collier is there. He'll make the play. The numbers on Anna from last year in Tucson: 331. 9 homers and 73 ribbies, and his on-base percentage last year was .410.
Yeah.
So 386 lifetime. He's got a 286 minor league average and 386 on-base percentage, and a 26th-round pick by the Padres in 2008. Here's Addison Marusak. And there's a strike. 2-0 Yankees. Yankees in the Phils. Yankees trying to even up their spring mark at 2-2. Phillies trying to do the same thing. Breaking ball is outside.
We saw Maruzak last spring, and capable of playing all the positions in the infield.
Runner goes. Pitch is mishandled as Sebastian Valli could not get his grip on the ball. So a stolen base for Dean Anna.
And we talked about having to make an immediate impression, while somebody like Ellsbury or Gardner will not be stealing many bases during the course of spring training, if any. Players like Anna trying to open some eyes, and some minds for that matter, will be off and running.
Swing and a miss. Marusak down on strikes. 2-away. Here's John Ryan Murphy. We explained this on Thursday. Bears repeating. If you didn't see Thursday's game, this is the former J.R. Murphy. Has always been John Ryan growing up, but somehow in the minor leagues where you get nicknames or your name's shortened, he was called J.R. Murphy. And he asked the Yankees this year to please have the media and the guys on Yes calling him John Ryan.
So he asked you first, of course, and then it snowballed from there. That's what it is. You know, I'm thinking, you know how it got to be JR? I mean, it's just a shortened version of
right.
programs.
Pitch outside. The 3-0. And Murphy walks. Murphy is in the battle for that backup catching position. You got Murphy, you've got Austin Romine, Francisco Cervelli, all battling to see who will fill in for Brian McCann.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Gary Sanchez is probably the catcher of the future. Yankees signed McCann to a 5-year deal. He's 30 years old, and most think, well, he'll catch for 3 years and then maybe move to another position, maybe first or DH, although I'm sure Mark Teixeira said, well, wait a minute about first.
Whoa, yeah.
Gary Sanchez is 21, so in 3 years he'll be 24. He might be ready to take over, but you know, an organization has to think that far ahead. You never know. What's the old line? God laughs at those that make plans.
You never know. You know, it might be Sanchez who has to make the adjustment, move to another position. Here's Solarte. Jan Jervis hit a home run yesterday. He's got 2.
Made a nice play on the glove side to end the top of the 7th inning.
That ball took somewhat of an erratic hop. Yeah, but he made the play look easy. Actually, it wasn't.
Oh, a strike. 3-2, runners on first and second, 2 out, so the runners will go here in the bottom of the 7th. The Yankees lead 2-0. There they go. The pitch is high, and Horst walks his second batter of the inning to load the bases. And that'll bring up Adonis Garcia.
Well, the Yankee pitchers have been, well, as stingy as you can be in the walk department. They haven't walked anybody. The Philly pitchers have walked 7 batters today.
Swings at the off-speed offering, and the count 0-1.
Speaking of players from Cuba, Adonis Garcia at the plate is originally from Cuba, now lives in Venezuela. Played 50 games at AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre last year.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. One-two count. Missed inside. Now 2-2. Jeremy Horst is the fifth pitcher used by Ryan Sandberg.
Yankees looking for a hit here to kind of blow this one open in the latter stages of the game. Those tack-on runs we've talked about during the course of the season.
And the count 3-2, so you can start the merry-go-round. All three runners will go. The 3-2 pitch. Line to left field. That ball is going to be played on a hop by Castro. 2 runs scored. Moving to third is Solarte. It's a 2-run single for Garcia, and the Yankees now lead 4-0.
Well, there are those tack-on runs, a couple of them here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And for Horst, he's the one who got himself in trouble with the 2 walks. With 2 outs, now gives up the 2-out bases loaded single to Adonis Garcia. Runners run, and here they come. One followed by another, and it's now 4-0 Yankees.
And here is Heel. Pitch outside. One and one. Tomorrow the Yankees will be in Dunedin to face the Blue Jays, and Vidal Nuno will get the start. It's his second start of the spring. Line into right center field. Coming on and sliding to make the play is Gillies for the final out of the inning. I think he forgot how many outs there were, but the Yankees get 2 runs and they leave 2 on. It's 4-0 Yanks. Well, it's time for the game summary brought to you by the Lincoln Motor Company. It's 4-0 Yankees on 7 hits. Each team's committed an error. The Phillies with 5 hits. Sabathia went 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Kuroda 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs. And Tanaka, an eagerly awaited debut, 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, and 3 strikeouts. And here is Dellin Betances for his 2nd inning of work. Dellin, a kid from New York, was coming up through the Yankee farm system as a starter, and they thought he could be a big-time starter. He's a big kid, throws hard, but kind of lost the plate. And starting once every 5 days, he really wasn't pitching enough in order to keep himself in rhythm, and they said, let's try him in the bullpen. And Kenny, once they put him in the bullpen, he almost was unhittable. So there's some spots open in this Yankee bullpen, and he has a chance. I'd say it's an outside chance, but he has a chance if he throws strikes.
Well, he did in the 1st inning. See what he does here in the top of the 8th inning.
The reviews on Tanaka continue to come in on Twitter. Eric Boland, who covers the team, as one of the writers, says CC Sabathia called Tanaka's stuff, quote, filthy. Added, quote, that split is dirty. Foul back. Now, Cameron Rupp of the Phillies, according to Jason Stark of ESPN, said about Tanaka's pitch, "I have no idea what that pitch was. I didn't even see it. My head was in left field." Soft ground ball is short. Anna fields and fires to get Hernandez. Speaking of CC Sabathia, our very own Meredith Morakovitz caught up with him.
And with Yankees starting pitcher CC Sabathia. CC, first time you're out there for the spring. What do you take away from an outing like this?
Just that my fastball was, staying true. My changeup would look pretty good today, so I'm excited. Arm felt good, so, I look for my next start to be good.
You had mentioned to me prior to this spring that you already started throwing some bullpens. Do you feel like you're further ahead maybe as far as your arm strength, how sharp you are now than you were maybe in past years?
You know what, I just told Larry, I felt like, where I'm at now is where I ended the spring last year, so I feel pretty good, with 4 or 5 more starts to go, about, just getting my control down, being able to work both sides of the plate, and make sure my fastball command is good, because everything comes off of that, and I need to make sure I'm there, this year at the beginning of the year.
Now, Joe Girardi kind of joked a couple of days ago. This is like Game 7 of the World Series with all of you guys throwing today. Kuroda, Tanaka as well. Did you watch Tanaka throw, or were you watching that?
Yeah, I was, and he was impressive. I got a chance to play catch with him yesterday. He threw me the split a couple of times. I had to ask him to stop. So, I'm excited, and it was good to see, us be able to pitch on the same day. I think there was a buzz around the ballpark, and everybody's excited. So. Feels good. Hopefully we can just keep it going.
So he has you convinced that splitter is legit.
Of course.
CC, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, CC, and thank you, Meredith. We're in the top of the 8th inning here at Steinbrenner Field. Yankees lead 4-0. Dellin Betances in his 2nd inning of work, and he is dealing to Tyson Gillies. The count 2-1. There's a strike. We mentioned that earlier, Kenny. Again, 4th spring training game. Nobody's going crazy over it, but there was an elevated sense of anticipation in the ballpark when you walked around before, and fans just had that little buzz, and CC backed that up as well. It just seemed like more than just your average spring training game.
A full house. First of all, that'll add to the buzz anywhere. As Betances is now going to a full count on Gillies.
And a walk to Gillies. Let's take a closer look at what Tanaka did today.
He worked 2 scoreless innings, and he had 3 strikeouts along the way, 1 to finish off the 5th, and then 2 more. Oh, nasty splitter. That's what CC was talking about. And it ties up Dominic Brown with an up and in fastball. 3 strikeouts, no walks, a couple of hits allowed by Tanaka.
Ronnie Cedeno takes low from Betances. Kenny, I always hear this about tall pitchers, that it's harder for batters because it seems like they're on top of you. Did you get that sense?
Well, they're very imposing. You can only imagine what Randy Johnson was like at 6'10". And when Randy Johnson first came up, it took him a while to get going. With at that height, a lot of arms and legs moving around, and it took a couple of years before the future Hall of Famer got locked in with his mechanics.
And Betances wears his height on his back. He is 6'8". High fly ball, right center. Richardson is there for the 2nd out. Well, we talked about Betances transitioning from starter to relief pitcher, and he talked about that to us earlier.
I've always started in my life, so for me it was kind of hard at making that transition at first, but I knew it was for the better, and you know, I felt like things were starting to click, and you know, I just feel like the more time I had to pitch on the mound instead of going every 5 days, kind of helped me, you know, just with the consistency.
Dylan Betances there, good kid. Joe Girardi takes him out of the game after an inning and 2/3. We'll go to the bullpen, bring in a left-hander to face Castro, and we will be back in just a moment. So the Yankees go to the lefty, Cesar Cabral, with a runner on first and 2 outs. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Yankees lead 4-0. Last year in the minors, you see his numbers: 30 games, 1-1, 5.40.
Looking to become another lefty out of the bullpen, lefty option for Joe Girardi. Pitched briefly with the Yankees last year.
And deals a breaking ball strike to Leandro Castro.
Another member of the Iron Pigs. I just like saying that.
Popped up. And it hits the top of the Phillies dugout.
Now, you know that Meredith actually worked for the Iron Pigs at one time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she worked her way up through the minor leagues.
And Kenny, before they came out with the bacon hat, she promised a year and a half ago to get me an Iron Pig hat. And so she doesn't have much pull in the Iron Pig organization.
Well, you know what? Now I know you want one if it has anything to do with bacon.
I want to eat bacon. I don't want to wear it on my head.
I have a feeling it's going to be a very popular hat, though.
The 0-2. Chop the third. Solarte fires across the diamond and gets Castro for the final out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. 4-0 Yanks. Follow the Yankees with MLB.com at bat for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. Get scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Yankees.com for details. A little roughhousing going on in the outfield, in the stands, but all in good fun as they're enjoying the Yankees leading 4-0. Reggie Jackson doing some tweeting or texting or something, as he's one of the Yankees spring coaches.
Saw Reggie today for the first time. Mr. Excitement at camp.
A new pitcher for the Phillies is Sean Kemp, and he's going to face Antoine Richardson.
Camp is a veteran sinker balling reliever. Been around for a while. Trying to hook on with the Phillies. He's been with several clubs in the big leagues.
Line drive, a base hit to right field for Richardson. And that's going to bring up Zoilo Almonte. Along with Ken Singleton and Meredith Maragovitz, I'm Michael Kay. We thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. Yankees' top 3 starters all pitched 2 innings in this game, all pitched 2 shutout innings. And we got our first look at Masahiro Tanaka. There's a ground ball to short. There's one. And Almonte is doubled up.
I was just going to speak of the hit by Richardson. I can recall the days when, you know, coming to big league camp, you're getting 1 at bat. You know, late in the ball game, you take over for one of the star players, and you try to make the most of it. Try and get that hit. And one day hit a home run, 1 at bat in the game, and the game was on TV back to New York.
Nice.
Oh, my dad was watching. You know, I thought that was so cool.
Here's Dean Anna. Rat foul.
Still got sent to the minor leagues, though.
But you felt better about it.
Yeah, I did.
Pitch outside. Anna made a great play at short. Just an eye-opener. And then also made an error in the same inning, but he can hit, he can get on base, and there's an outside chance if he has a great spring, he could grab one of those infield spots. Ground ball to first. And that will do it as the Yankees go down without a run here in the 8th. No runs, a hit, and nobody left on base. Let's go to the 9th. Yankees up 4-0. 4-0. Yankees lead the Phillies as we go to the top of the 9th inning, and Cesar Cabral still on the mound will try to close it out. Right before pitchers and catchers reported, Kenny, I was talking to Mariano Rivera.
Gotcha.
I said, come on, you're starting to feel it a little bit, right? Just a little. And he admitted, he goes, you know what? The day before, I got that feeling I have to pack. He goes, but I knew I didn't have to. He goes, and I'm not saying I'm not going to miss it. He said, but I feel fulfilled. And he says, I'm not coming back. But he said he did start to feel the day before, I should be packing now. When you're packing for 20 years.
Yeah, that's.
Pitch to Dugan is a strike.
He's going to have to find something to fill that void. You know, did anybody give him a gift, a set of golf clubs?
I don't remember. They gave him a fishing pole.
Yeah, I remember that.
He had a surfboard, a bike. I think he really is going to spend a lot of time with the church that he's opening up with his wife. And I gave him an open invite to come up to the booth if he's ever bored.
Oh, anytime.
Swing and a miss. And Kelly Dugan down on strikes.
I think if anything this afternoon, Michael, as we get to the 9th inning here, the Yankees up by a score of 4-0. The pitching has been most impressive this afternoon. I think Juan Samuel would tell you the same thing. Phillies first base coach.
Here's Zach Collier. And a strike. This would be Cabral's job. You've already got Matt Thornton out there. He's taken over for Boone Logan, who left as a free agent. But Joe has always had to make do since being Yankee manager with pretty much one lefty in the bullpen. Having a second gives you a luxury. Because with just one, you've got to pick your spot. Okay, here's the big moment where I really need this guy. You have two, it's like having another dog in the yard.
With some bite.
And the amount of lefties you have in the bullpen actually impacts, and you know this, Kenny, the way the manager makes out his lineup. He's not stacking lefties if he knows that you've got two out there that you can counteract that 3 batters in a row in the middle of his lineup. So you'll see a guy build his lineup differently against a bullpen that has 2 or 3 lefties.
I think that's where the Yankees are going to welcome back the likes of a Mark Teixeira this year, because he's a switch hitter. You can stick in between a couple of left-handed hitters. For a while against a righty, you can have 3 in a row, and all of a sudden you don't have 3 in a row.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss. 2 away. Now, how could we not hear from Masahiro Tanaka on a day like this? Well, we are going to, and Meredith has him downstairs. Meredith?
Masahiro, you said about a week ago you were ready to throw in games already. So just how anxious were you to get out there on the mound today?
1週間前にね、すでにもうマウンドに出る準備できてたっていうふうにおっしゃってましたけども、今日実際上がってみていかがでしたか？
まあ、いい緊張感の中で、しっかりとした投球することができたと思います。
I feel that I was a little bit nervous going up there, but it was a good nervousness, and I feel that I was able to do a pretty good job up there.
Joe Girardi has said early in the spring he's not worried about the results, more about you building your arm strength, getting comfortable on the mound. But were you worried about the results today?
ジラディ監督はいわゆる結果のことは全然気にしてないというふうに言ってましたけれども、投げる田中投手本人は結果については少し気にしたりっていうのはあったんですか？
そうですね、やはり投げるからには打たれたくないので、しっかりと抑えには行きました。
Once I'm up on the mound, I don't want anybody to get off any hits off of me. So, I was really, getting up there and competing.
Masahiro, thanks for the time.
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
Michael, we'll send it back up to you.
Thank you, Meredith. So that pretty much sums up what happened today. The Yankees used 5 pitchers. They did not allow a run. The last out, a ground ball to third, and the Yankees win this one 4-0. And Kenny, this was obviously about those starting pitchers and Tanaka making his Yankee debut.
Yeah, CC was great. Kuroda was better. Tanaka was strong, and Betances and Cabral finished it off, and it all adds up to celebration in the middle of the diamond here at Steinbrenner Field.
And the Yankees have evened up their spring record at 2-2. For the Yankees, 4 runs on 8 hits with 1 error, and the Phillies, no runs, 5 hits and 1 error. Kuroda got the win, Gonzalez the loss, Sabathia 2 shutout, Kuroda 2 shutout, and Tanaka 2 shutout innings. All in all, a good day for the Yankees. That'll do it from George M. Steinbrenner Field. Special thanks to senior producer Bill Bolin, coordinating director John Moore, Mike Webb, Woody Fryman, and the executive producer of the Yes Network is Mr. John J. Filippelli. Join us again tomorrow, or check that Monday for Yankees baseball as the Bombers take on the Washington Nationals at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. on the Yes Network. Again, the final score, Yankees 4 and the Phillies 0. For Ken Singleton and Meredith Marakovitz, I'm Michael Kay saying see ya from